What is going on, everybody? This is Brandon from ComixKings. Welcome back to another episode of Creators Corner. Guys, this is my favorite show. This is my favorite show. I know you guys really enjoy this. It has been a great ride, and today we are joined by Dan Watters and Dani, the creators of Coffin Bound, which if you guys have not read Coffin Bound, it was a book over at Image Comics a few years ago before the pandemic, before the world ended. So make sure you guys go pick that up, buy it in trade, or go buy the issues. I believe it was 14, 12 issues at the end.
Eight.
Eight. Okay,
But,
so
one oversized or two.
Yeah,
oversized.
one oversized per arc, so it was about the length of a 5 or 6.
Okay, yeah, because it felt long. It felt a lot long, but it was a great book. Go pick it up. And they also released their first issue of Arkham City, which was fantastic. This has been basically the talk of the town. That's all I've heard the past week. Got more praise than an X-Men book, so take that, Marvel. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. How are you guys doing today?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem. I know this is in the works for a while, and it's kind of hard to get people from all over the world just in one room. So I'm really glad that we can make this work. Dan, what's your cat's name?
This is Pancakes.
This is Pancakes. We got a special little first appearance here on the channel.
Every time with every video call, Pancakes.
My dogs are up there snoozing. I asked, I said, do you guys want to come down? They looked at me like, they're taking
How many dogs do you have?
I got two. I have a 10-year-old and then I have a 5-year-old. So they think they're still little kids though. So
yeah.
What's going on to the chat? You guys are here. I love the fact you guys are here on what's today? Today's Tuesday, on a Tuesday afternoon during lunch. If you guys have a question, make sure you drop it below. We will read it aloud. Just like Jeff just even saying, thank you, Coffin Bound is amazing. One of my all-time favorites. I could not agree
thanks
more.
So much.
So if you guys do have a question or a compliment, drop it down below. We will read it aloud on the show. Quick little intro. How did you guys get into comics, being kind of all over the world?
Something is happening outside of my house. Sorry. Something like a riot. People are screaming. Can you hear them?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Typical Athens night.
I miss Athens.
Okay. So you're coming again.
I've never been, but
well, you should, but do not stay in Athens for too long. Just go to the islands.
I'll be in and out. I'll be in and out. So, Dan, what got you into comic books?
Me? Well, I'm in London, and I'm from London, and obviously it's a long British tradition of comics. As a kid, you always had sort of like the Beano and the Dandy and these very like sort of slightly twee British kids comics, which I always did enjoy as a little kid. And then I sort of dabbled in and out of stuff. Like when I was a sort of kid, really cool stuff was coming out, and you could still kind of get it on the newsstands. And I went back to like some of those like really old tatty issues that I used to read over and over, and it was all like amazing stuff. It was all like Peter David Hulk, Kurt Busiek's Iron Man, like just like great stuff. And then when I was sort of in my late teens, I discovered Sandman and things at the local library, and that was kind of a whole new level of things.
Right. It's always great hearing how people caught it. I love hearing stories about the spinner rack because it's something that I'll never experience. So I think like the more that I want to know about them, the more like I'll be able to experience it secondhand. Danny, how about you? Sorry, Dan.
Nice mug.
Thanks. It's Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. There you go. It's a good movie. Danny, what got you into comic books?
I don't know. I was reading comics like growing up, and it just happened. Well, the first time I started drawing comics, something like comic books, but not comics, was I was reading Asterix and Obelix growing up, and sometimes I didn't like the endings, so I would draw my own.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I said, let's try it if I can like have this as a job, and it worked apparently. So I'm It's still experimental.
It's still experimental.
Yeah.
So, what would you guys say is like the most difficult part about doing this, like online, or like doing it like overseas from everyone, especially being from Greece, being from the UK, and communicating with people all over the world?
For me, it isn't difficult. Like I prefer this from having someone like working at an office, and because this way, like I can do my schedule. Okay, the tough part is answering to all the emails and not having like a with the time zone, the different time zones, and etc. If you're in a rush, especially. But this is why you, at least I have to plan a bit more. But the good thing is that in Greece, I'm 10 hours like in front, so I will never miss. I have some extra time for deadlines. Yeah, because the US is like 10 hours.
Get an extra day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Usually, like when we were emailing back and forth, I was like, usually I'm up pretty late, so like I'll see an email and I'm just like, it's 3 a.m. I'm not responding until I wake up. Dan, what would you say is it a little difficult?
To be honest, I don't feel that I really am. I mean, yeah, the time zone stuff. So like most of the sort of like editors and things I work with are starting at sort of like 5 p.m. my time, but that's okay as well. I don't mind working kind of late, and I don't feel kind of like isolated from anything. We have a really good, robust comic scene in the UK. You know, if I want to go for like a pint just in London, there's Rowan V, there's Kieran Gillen, there's like loads of comics people here, and there always kind of has been.
Right, Al Ewing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Those are all great people. Some of my favorites. Some good friends of the show right there as well. So let's talk about Arkham City. If you were to pitch this book to anyone who has not read it, what would you guys? What's the pitch?
Dan.
Dan's like Dani. Are you going to talk for it, Dani?
It's a book about not Batman. Would be my one-line pitch. It's the story of after A-Day, when the Joker basically massacred everyone at Arkham Asylum. A few patients escaped, and one psychologist who survived because she wasn't at work that night by fluke is trying to find them and put them somewhere where they'll be safe, where they won't be hurting other people, where other people won't be hurting them. And it's her story as she tries to find these people who are barely hanging on in this mad city, right. which is already a rough, tough place. Right. So it's kind of about what happens in Gotham City when there's no Batman around, when there's no Bat family around. It's right. about smaller people.
When they're all distracted by Joker or Scarecrow or like some of these lesser characters. That's why we saw a little bit more of a nicher character base. Because it was a pretty interesting choice that you went with the 10-eyed dude. And I'm like thinking of his name. I'm like, wait, what's his name? Like, it's a guy with the 10 eyes, right?
Yeah. No, 10-eyed bra, I think is his.
Yeah, see, we think, right?
No, he's like 10-eyed man, and that I mean, to be honest, that stuff came from the way the project sort of came about is I was talking to my editor for another project, and I kept sort of adding in these takes on characters that hadn't been used in decades, and 10-eyed man was one of those. And I was like, oh, what if you made him like this really scary sort of prophetic schizophrenic, and that project kind of went a different way, but they sort of came back to me like, hey, these characters you were sort of reinventing, we think we have kind of a book for that, or an idea. We want to find out what happened to the patients that escaped the destruction of Arkham. So it was kind of an opportunity to take smaller characters and kind of reinvent them and stuff, which you can't do with the ones that are kind of like very firmly fixed in sort of readers' minds and the public's minds. Right. People don't really have an idea of who the 10-eyed man is, so you can kind of do a little bit more.
Or Professor Pig if they're a little bit newer reader. Like he popped up in the Tom King run, but not a lot of people would know him from the Morrison if they didn't read before that. He didn't really pop up at all in the New 52 that I remember.
I
No,
never. I didn't know any of these characters.
So Danny, how did you get used to these characters?
I don't read a lot of comics that much, like especially the superhero ones. So nearly everything is new for me. But especially these characters, totally new.
Yeah, and they're new for a lot of people. You know, I've been reading for a few years now, probably like 5 or 6 now. So I'm pretty well. I thought I was pretty well versed, and I saw people here. I was like calling my friends, and I was like, you know this guy, you know, kind of like that meme you see all over the internet. It's like, you know, so that was me. Danny, you said like these are newer characters. How did you kind of get used to drawing them? Like, what references did you use?
A lot of reference. Like when we're building, and it's the same. Whenever we work together with Dan, it's the same thing for me at least, but I think for you also, Dan, that we have a lot of back and forth with everything and the world building and the characters especially. So a lot of references, a lot of talking, many pictures, many photos, many everything.
Right. Yeah, it was cool. We were using these things as sort of like these old characters as kind of springboards, and then kind of doing our thing, doing what we did on Coffin Bound, which was crazy.
And did you guys know about this project post Coffin Bound, or did you guys kind of like rekindle after the book was done?
Yeah, Coffin Bound has finished.
Right.
Yeah.
When did we do the last Coffin Bound?
I'm trying to remember. What I do remember
it feels like ages. I don't remember.
I don't think it was that long ago because we'd finished and you had a couple of like one shots and things you were drawing. So it was like you had like 3 or 4 months, and then the plan was we were gonna jump into a new create our own thing. After that. But it was sort of 3 or 4 months. So within that 3 or 4 months, Arkham City became a thing. And then when our editor Amadeo and I were like talking about it, and we were talking about like reinventing some characters, I kept thinking about the stuff we'd done in Coffin Bound. It was like this feels like a no-brainer.
Right. This feels like a book Danny would draw, right? Yeah, it felt like Coffin Bound in my eyes, because I met Danny at GalaxyCon before we went into lockdown. So that's like my timetable for everything.
Right.
When did I go to GalaxyCon? That's just the way that my brain has worked these past.
In the before times.
Yes, in the before times. Like, well, we went to Comic-Con, and then we didn't go anywhere because it was the only con that in C2E2. I'm like, and then comics stopped for a while. So it's like it's hard. It's like books that finished during that time period feels like forever ago. Like we were talking about Al Ewing when they launched Marvel Comics 1000 and Incoming. That was right around that time. So I'm like, I still reference it today when I review books because I know Al Ewing is still going to talk about it, but no one else knows. And I'm like, I know this came out forever ago, you guys, but bear with me.
Oh yeah, that was the time when the second volume of Coffin Bound came out, right?
Yeah.
And in Europe we didn't get it, something like that.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah, the first volume of Coffin Bound launched the day the UK went into lockdown. The first time.
That was March 25th, I think, because the 25th of March is a national holiday in Greece. So I remember that.
Yeah, no disrespect to COVID, but it screwed over a lot of our timetables.
It's probably not the worst thing it did.
Yeah, because I remember I was working at a karate place and I was teaching karate, and that was very difficult. Like, and then we closed, I think the 20th, because we had our belt tests that week, and the CEO of the company I'm no longer with, so I can like throw him under the bus a little bit, their shade, but he collected everyone's money first and then like didn't give a lot of people their belts, and I was like, what the heck?
Oh no.
So I was like, but like all the employees took the brunt of it. Like the parents knew we were going into lockdown before we did, and we're the ones who were like, I'm the one who was to close. We have like a bunch of niche characters in here. Where are we gonna go from here? Like, what is kind of the story gonna envelop? Because Jocasta Joy, she's a newer character, I believe. This was her first appearance, and her job is To me, her character was very interesting because a lot of people in Arkham that you've seen kind of in the history that you touched on a little bit here, Dan, it was like it changes, right? So obviously the workers are going to change, the mindsets are going to change, but she's kind of maintained that same like status quo of I'm here for the patients. How is she like going to be able to keep that sanity that many people have failed?
Well, I think there's the story, right?
You have to read the book.
Yeah. I mean, no, but I mean, you ask, how's it going to go? It's like, well, that kind of that way. Because, yeah, I mean, Jocasta Joy is I was interested in the idea of someone whose only objective is to help these people, and she has like a Hippocratic oath to look after these people. So whereas every other lead character, I guess, any sort of Batman, Robins, all of those characters, their objective is keeping Gotham safe, keeping the people of Gotham safe. That is not Joy's. She's not a superhero. She does not have that scale kind of like open to her duty of care is to her patients, and I thought that was like a really interesting thing to explore, especially with how Arkham is meant to be an asylum, and it's never really seemed to operate as that very well. It's always been a place to lock up people who are inconvenient but also have superpowers.
Right. It's kind of become more of like a prison and more of kind of a punishment than an actual like institution to treat, kind of. And Dani, let's kind of talk about your art style a little bit because your art is very gritty and it's very creepy, and I love it.
Thank you.
I love it because it captures the tone really well. How did you kind of acquire this kind of style? Was that kind of what you were going for? Kind of like that horrific, gritty, noir?
Yeah, I don't know if. Well, okay, the art questions, I'm always the worst with these questions. I never know what to answer because it's not something that I usually plan. It just happens. And like I've talked about it again, and I don't know how to describe it, but every time, I don't know if it's visible to the readers, but for me, in every project, I kind of slightly change my style depending on what the project is. But again, I'm not planning it. It just happens. So yeah, this might be more noir, as you say. I don't know. It just felt right to go to this direction with this story.
Right. I got a lot of Mike Mignola vibes here in this book. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean that also might be because we're also with the great Dave Stewart.
Oh yeah,
just a shout out to Dave Stewart.
Oh yeah, he's okay. He's only won a few awards.
He's okay. He's
all right. That guy. Who's Dave? Who's Dave? Oh, Dave's awesome. Dave is one of my.
Doesn't need our.
No. I feel like when you see Dave Stewart on the book, you're just like, yep, that's going on the pull list. And he does a lot of work. So it's like, it's amazing how consistent he's been over the years. I was just rereading Gideon Falls last night. So
it's a beautiful book. That's a beautiful book as well. Yeah.
Yep. So a lot of times we are kind of driven in today's industry by horror books. Have you guys like kind of seen an uprising in that kind of subject in here? Is that what was that like your intention was to bring like a new kind of goal or a new genre to horror in Gotham? Because we're in such like I don't want to say like a horror fest phase in the comic world, but it feels like that's kind of been like the biggest crave over the past year.
Yeah, also in films and stuff, horror has an uprising, has risen.
Right.
It's more popular. I don't know. Like many horror things have come out.
Yeah, it tends to happen in times of in times of sort of social stress, which is definitely what we're in now. So and I mean, yeah, we wanted to, like, we knew we were making a horror book, or at least a horror tinged book, kind of from the get go. but it's not the, I don't know, I don't think about things in those terms so often, like with Coffin Bound. I'm never quite sure if that's a horror book either.
I'd say it's more of like a horror adventure. I think it has like my thing, and we were kind of talking about this on a show the other day. I don't watch horror movies. I can't do horror movies. They're not me. But I can listen to other people watching horror movies and look at their reactions because I'll get scared just watching them get scared, you know.
Okay, you're an easy target.
but in books and horror comics, I love it because I'm like, okay, nothing's gonna actually like make that big jumping noise. It's gonna make
exactly, and that's something I find very interesting. That's why I have done a fair bit of horror, at least horror tinged work, and it is sort of naturally where I gravitate to. It's not the only thing I'm interested in. It's not the only thing I enjoy doing, but it's definitely something I gravitate to. But I think part of that is also because it is interesting trying to do those things in comics because you are lacking a lot of the tools that you have in other mediums. You don't have the jump scares. You don't have the music to build up. You don't have, even in prose, there's like you can build more surprise because
there's a lot of foreshadowing that you can kind of do.
You don't have the peripheral vision where you're like, oh, but I can see on the next page like what happens already. So there almost is more movement still to prose than there is to comics. So working around that is it makes you do interesting things.
Right. But I feel like, okay, we don't have jump scares and stuff like that and sounds in comics, but I believe that an image that you have the time to look and analyze in your brain more, that it can stick more. Like for me, some images that I've read or like in books or comic books, and I've put that little part with my brain, with my imagination, than taking it all in by a film. It has stuck with me more. I don't know if I said this clearly with my Greek English. Did I communicate?
You got
well?
it.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw a comment earlier. Said, what's cool about this panel is there are 3 accents in here that bring everyone together.
Yes. Okay.
You have a very East Coast Maryland accent, a British, and a Greek accent, which I think this is like a first time for this show, I would say. This is my first time having like a writer and artist, so I'm like, this is awesome. For me, this is like a new experience. My co-host, Bryce, Hillbilly Comics, we do the weekly wrap-up show together. He was giving me crap about it when I said this was my favorite show, but I mean it. He said, you created Dr. Joy. What made you guys decide to make a new character and show their perspective for this story as opposed to using an already established figure in the Gotham mythos? I was going to ask that, but it's already out.
Well, I wanted to use first off, I very specifically wanted a psychologist at Arkham Asylum. And I wanted someone. There are a few, you can sort of dig back and like obviously like people have created other psychiatrists, but I don't think there's one that particularly sticks out as like, oh, this is like the obvious character to use.
Right.
And so having someone that we could sort of treat as a blank slate and build directly for our purposes was definitely a sort of like way to go. Like sort of looked at some of the characters in A Serious House, A Serious Earth, and thought about using them. But
right.
I don't know. Joy kind of, when you're making a book that's really, mainly about one character, then you want to be able to explore them as fully as possible. So doing that from the ground up made a lot of sense.
All right. And Dani, kind of being like a kind of newer to Batman, as you said earlier, what has kind of been your experience dealing in Arkham or learning about Gotham? What has kind of been your perspective on it?
First of all, in this specific book, I was promised by Dan that I won't do any Batman.
I already made you draw Batman once.
Yes, but
not in this.
Yes. We've already done one passing through this. Okay, we don't want more. No. I mean, I guess because I don't have this attachment with the traditional Gotham that everyone has, when like all the readers that are super fans of the
Oh
comic
yeah,
books.
they suck. Oh, I hate the super fans.
No, I'm not saying it like that. I'm just
No, they're the worst. No, they're the worst. Let me tell you why they're the
No,
worst.
no,
It is-
you're the best. It's just that I always feel like in every new city setting that I work on, I bring a lot of my town because this is my main visual. So Athens is a lot of. It's not clean at all. Anyone who comes here, they're gonna find out. It's a really dirty city, and but beautifully dirty in some ways. And even like you can see graffiti everywhere and posters all over, and the the buildings are not like straight. It's like someone ate a city and threw up, and everything is like on top of everything. So maybe I have a tendency of bringing this to the cities I draw, and this is my approach for Gotham as well.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
trying to make it more goth, I guess.
Yes,
Yes.
more of the goth in Gotham. Putting the goth in Gotham right there.
Mm.
Perfect. I like it. Yeah, 'cause it was a little interesting. Because a lot of people, when you talk about Batman with them, this is why I said I don't like the super fans. They're like, what I feel like a lot of Batman super fans don't understand is there are more characters than Batman. Or like Batman could do everything in the world, probably, but no. It's cool to like kind of ground him and ground the city every once in a while and give a fresh perspective, give like a fresh design, a fresh landscape, that is perfect. Dan, what is kind of your perspective on Arkham or Gotham for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the appeal of and the longevity of Batman is that it has this such a strong supporting cast, and the villains is such a big part. I mean, no one has a supporting cast as strong as Batman's. Like,
No.
there's no way. Like, as in we already have. I'm thinking like Spider-Man, I guess, is the closest in the you actually have films of both, just from the villains in Joker and Venom, but
Venom.
I'm
Very
going to
much
be very
very
proud, Dan.
Sorry, I had to do this.
But yeah, so there's this supporting cast which is so strong, and Batman is great, but he's also kind of a lens at which to look at this city through, and these characters through, and maybe sometimes it's cool to look at it through a different lens. We don't need to look at it through the punchy billionaire. We can look at it from the psychologist or from the villains themselves.
Right.
And it just gives you different stories. Like, I don't think, frankly, there is a limit on how many Batman stories there are to be told. I'm not bored of them.
Oh yeah, there are 2,000 of them out right now. I think.
Yeah, but I enjoy them. And this the other thing is that, and this kind of ties into like what Dani was saying is that Batman's also been around for so long. This mythology is so built up at this point that it's really malleable, and you can have, Batman 66 come out, and you can have Arkham City come out, and they both still feel like Gotham City. They both feel like very different versions of this place, but there is this sort of continuity, which might only be because we've experienced it in so many different ways. We know it can kind of like stretch and mold to fit
absolutely
different takes, which is why it was cool to sort of bring the Coffin Bound or like part of the Coffin Bound team and just kind of do what we did there and just do it in Gotham, and it just seemed to work fine.
Right.
Because Aditya is also here.
Exactly.
Yes. And even he brings the Coffin Bound touch a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Brad Simpson, right? Inker.
Brad Simpson colored Coffin Bound. We've got Dave on this, but Aditya Bidikar, who lettered Left to Coffin Bound is the letter on this, and he's doing amazing stuff because he's decided because he is a masochist, he has decided that he's going to give every Arkhamite, as we call them, every patient from Arkham,
Their own lettering.
their own lettering font.
Yeah,
which is
I
something-
thought that was really thoughtful. I was like, that's great. That's
that's something he brought from a Serious House and Serious Earth, the McKean.
Question from my brother Steve, who's also doing an interview today after this show with Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti. Says, "What are your favorite horror films?" I've never watched one, so I don't know. I'm sure you guys do.
Well, you should. You have to start.
I'm okay.
You're okay. Okay.
What about you guys?
Like I really enjoy The Witch. Have you seen it? And the Lighthouse. I think I like
Good
its movies
cuts.
a lot.
A24.
Yeah.
My go-to would probably be Don't Look Now.
What is this?
Don't Look Now. Have you not seen Don't Look Now? Oh,
No.
man. It's great. It's a Donald Sutherland film from, I believe, the late 70s. It's very good. It's about a couple who lose a child and then they go to Venice and all of this insane stuff happens.
Okay.
Very, very good. I don't want to say any more because
and I'll
spoil
check it
it.
out. If it's ever
Do you have? Oh, sorry.
if it's ever in
Sorry,
a comic book, write it and I'll buy it. But I won't buy
You know what? It's brought up in Moore's Swamp Thing very early on. There is a character in Moore's Swamp Thing who literally just says the plot of Don't Look Now.
Yep, and I had Rom V on, and he said the same thing, and I'm just like, yep.
What about Don't Look Now?
Yeah.
He hadn't watched that film last time we spoke, so I'm glad my nagging has gotten through.
Yeah. It was funny because at the end of that show, he's like, and I said, so what are you enjoying now? He's like, oh, I'm loving Arkham City, and I'm like, and that was right. I think that was like 2 days after I hit you guys up saying, hey, let's do something, and I was like, I can't talk about this. I'm just like, yeah, I haven't read it, but I'm excited for what's yet to come with this. But that was awesome. That was a great show.
Rom's the best.
Yeah. So what are you guys enjoying nowadays?
Well, I just finished Squid Game.
Oh, this guy right here has been telling me to watch it. And he's been texting me every day to watch Squid Games.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of it. I haven't watched any of it yet. So
That was good. It was good.
I've heard only good things.
Yeah, I've heard only good things about it. Like, I don't think I've heard good things about a show since Game of Thrones. Until the last season.
No one is happy with the last season.
I fell off way before that.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah, like, okay.
I was like, I would have done a different direction, but the fact that they went in the direction they did, everything makes sense. I just wouldn't have done it that way to begin with, But
like, I don't think that the direction was a problem. Maybe that my problem with the last season was that I needed more time to invest emotionally in things. Yes. So that then everything is crumbled down and I'm crying on the floor. That's what I wanted, and I didn't get that.
Yep.
Dan, what do you think of Game of Thrones?
I did not finish it.
Okay.
I don't know. Wasn't as much for me.
Someone is complaining.
And who's this?
This is Titina.
What's up, Titina?
Titina, and she's sick. Yesterday we went to the vet. She like her fang has an infection because she's old, and now she's getting antibiotics.
Bet she's loving that.
So she's super needy these days.
Yep.
And vulnerable.
She just needs her pets,
Yes, it's time.
Yeah, it's time. She's like, I don't care what you're doing. We're doing this. I don't know. I think my biggest issue with the last season was certain characters didn't get proper deaths. Like Cersei. I really I didn't want her and Jamie to get what they wanted at the end. I wanted Jamie to kind of move on. I wanted Cersei to be the one who got bit off by the dragon. Spoilers for everyone who didn't watch it. I don't know why you didn't watch it yet.
It's me.
Cersei is my favorite character from Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yes, from episode 1. I'm totally team Cersei.
I'm 100% there for Tyrion. I think Tyrion's like, I live like Tyrion. I love Tyrion to death. And then Bran, because, not a lot of stars get named Brandon, so I felt very biased. So, I felt like I had to support him. But comics-wise, what are you guys enjoying right now?
Layla Starr
yes.
is a masterpiece, which is annoying.
I still haven't read it. I'm waiting for the book. So don't say anything, because I'm not an issue. I can't read the issues.
See, when Ron was on the show, all you talked about was Dan. Dan's on the show. All he talks about is Ron.
It's cool codependency.
And Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk is just sitting over there in left field.
I mean, that's understandable. I'm a little behind. I'm a bit behind on Immortal Hulk, but
I'm reading it all digitally right now because I started collecting it, but.
I'm like 5 or 6 volumes in, and that is good comics.
Yeah, I'm reading it on Unlimited. It's great. It still captures that same effect. So, Dani, what about you?
Well, I'm not reading a lot of comics these days. Seriously, I don't have the time. The last comic I read. Have you read this amazing book called Homesick Pilot?
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I thought your cat was the one. I thought your cat was a. I was gonna say I thought your cat was the one that was homesick. I don't know where the pilot came from.
So yeah, that was really good. Not because it's you. I'm not saying because it's you.
You're saying in spite of me. It's good.
Yes.
Yes, she's saying. Because I want another book with you, Dan. I like it.
No, this is it's fixed. We are work married. It's going to happen every time. I also liked. This is what I read. The Red Room. Red Room? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. That's the comic I needed, and I didn't know I needed. I enjoy it so much. So good. Read it.
I love it. Ed and I'm from Pittsburgh. Ed Pitzger's from Pittsburgh. I don't live in Pittsburgh, but I loved when I met him. He was rocking out in all the black and yellow from our sports team from our city. So that was awesome. So I like Ed Pitzger. I haven't read Red Room. I think I'm probably going to trade with it because everything he does usually gets blown up into some big thing. So I'm like, I kind of think I need that. His grand design got like all blown up. So I'm like, I'm kind of waiting for that. Homesick Pilots is a good book. I like it. I don't know who wrote it, but I like it.
I wonder who.
Yeah, I'm kind of reading it in trade. I've kind of been reading more indie books in trade because it's easier to kind of get involved in the characters. And kind of the whole
I think frankly a lot of us the singles are important sort of sales wise and things, but I would always prioritize the trade as the medium of choice because that's the thing that's going to last and that's the thing that's going to be on the shelf and that people are going to be able to pick up, rather than just month to month. It's going to be there in the bookshop.
Oh, I have all the singles. It's just I buy the trade too.
Oh, well, that's the best case scenario.
Yep, I'm a sucker like that, and I did the same thing with Absolute Carnage, and it was stupid because I bought all the singles, I bought the trade, and now I have the omnibus, and I'm like, what did I do to myself? I said, what do I do to myself?
Yeah, do you do this with?
Do I do this with all my books?
With all the books?
No, it was an accident because I had the trade and I lent it to a friend, but I forgot that I had the trade and I wanted to review it, and then the omnibus got reprinted and it had a great cover, and I was like, that's awesome. So I bought it. So
I do that digitally a lot, where I'll have something digitally and then the trade comes out and I'm like,
I can't read anything digitally.
I think it's great at night or like when I'm in the car and I can like kind of use my hotspot. But at night, kind of the blue light is what keeps me going, keeps me invested. I just read Murder Falcon by Daniel Warren Johnson, which
cool.
is,
Yeah.
which is, if you guys have read God Country, I hold it in the same praise. It's like it's those creators like a little baby, kind of before they became the Venom or the Beta Ray Bill, kind of hoorah thing. But I really enjoyed it. I think buying trades and having the single issues, especially if you are in the reviewing game or like if you just like reading, is very helpful because if you wanna use something for reference, right, you just have it right there. You can just grab it off the shelf. It's kind of like your own little library, and that's what I've been kind of trying to do.
Yeah, I read more digitally than I usually expect to, just because I'm impatient.
Yeah.
And if I want to read something, I want to read it now, and that's a way you can do that.
You can't wait 10 minutes to go to your shop?
Is
it 10 minutes away?
Yeah, the utopia you are living in which you have a 10 minutes away comic store is.
Mine is 10 minutes away.
There you go.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm complaining. Mine's probably half an hour.
Yeah, I got no self-control. These guys see my pull list, and it's like, what was it? I think the month of June I didn't have a pull week that was below 23 books. And I was like, Jesus. Oh, nice. I was like June, July, August. I was like, and I looked at half. I'm like, oh, they're all X-Men. Nice. That's perfect. But Arkham City, we're learning about newer characters. We're getting reintroduced to a lot of friendlier characters. We get to see more, or at least the characters that we're working with for the rest of the series.
I'd say every issue kind of has a spotlight on someone. Like we introduced quite a few in issue 1, at least like gave them like a panel or two. But getting into the sort of details of what those characters are doing, where they're going, there's definitely a few that we haven't named yet, we haven't revealed yet. There's also a few. What I thought was interesting is like after we announced the book.
People were guessing.
Yeah, but also someone guessed Firefly, and like everything I see about the book says Firefly now. Firefly's not in it. I'll say that now.
Who is Firefly?
Exactly.
Okay.
No. Firefly is a cool villain, but he's not in this book. And in fact, actually, I won't say that because I might spoil someone else's book. But someone else was like, "Are you using Firefly at the moment?" I was like, "No." Like, they're like, "I thought you weren't." No, that was just someone guessed that in an early announcement of the book, and now everyone seems to think it. So a few of them they actually got wrong. Joker's daughter as well, not in this book. But so the characters they think are those characters, I don't think we revealed yet.
I love how this book will not involve like Joker, Harley, Batman. I think Danny's like, no Batman. I don't want
Batman. No Batman.
So all those diehard Batman fans we were talking about earlier, Danny, like I said.
Yeah, sorry guys.
But I think what's great about this book is a lot of times we see Batman and Joker, especially, and I love what James Tynion has done. It's just they oversaturate Gotham, right? Like when Joker and Batman are going head to head, everything stops, and it's just those guys,
Yeah, sure, but that makes a lot of sense. It's
his biggest villain, right? It's his biggest villain, obviously. So Joker and Batman will always kind of have that overshadowing. Joker as a villain, right? Even if you have Penguin or Scarecrow or Mad Hatter, all of them, right? Or the Falcons, right?
I think there's a reason for that as well. In the yin yang of those characters is very powerful,
right?
And it's very very strong, and there is a lot of like magnetism to that.
Right. I really like when they're not overshadowed.
Such a relationship.
Yeah, they have a great. Yeah, they have like the best bromance in comics. It's like opposite.
They complete each other, right?
They do. They do, and that's an Alan Moore concept a little bit, kind of.
So that I love that stuff, and it makes perfect sense to do that in Batman, in the Batman.
Right.
We're just not making that book, and I think that's a funny thing to sort of. That I think some people like struggle maybe to get their head around a little bit. It's like Gotham is this really big place, and at this point, it's this really rich city. It's a city containing all of this multitude of magic and technology and sci-fi, and all of this stuff happens in this one place. And because it has this sort of
I want
it has,
Batman world.
it has this sort of stitched together. It's sort of stitched together by this like shared like aesthetic and this shared like style. And that's a really cool thing. Like it doesn't have to just be about this one character. It can be about like anything. And that's kind of the point. Is it almost is about anything.
Right.
Batman's a detective character. He's a detective character. You know, he's the world's greatest detective. And what a detective character is for exploring the world around them, right?
Right. Well, 100%. Very, very well said. What I really liked about a lot of past Batman stories, like Batman Eternal, is you kind of still got the concept of Gotham across, but it built to that larger thing, you know? And that was a James Tynion book, so perfect right there. Probably my favorite James Tynion book. But what do we have to look forward? What do we have in this book that you can possibly say going forward? Is the series done? Are you guys still working on it?
We're still
working on it. I just went through we were just looking at Dave's colors for issue 3.
Oh, that's why you were late.
This morning.
Okay.
Yeah. We were earlier today.
Oh my god, he's
goodness,
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the two of them together, Dani and Dave, as a team is
it's awesome.
It's something to behold, particularly as we get further through the book, and there's some slightly more. It's not abstract, but just we're going backwards, we're going forwards, we're looking at different things, and there's some really, really cool stuff coming up in that issue. Azrael is the other thing we're bringing in issue 2.
Right.
Who everyone knows already.
Yes, everyone knows Azrael.
He's playing it safe. You see.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about the characters that are out there, and everyone knows.
Right. Azrael's kind of a cool concept. I really like him. Dan, what made you want to bring him back?
Well, it was a funny thing that happened in that I was asked to write Azrael for Batman Urban Legends, which actually it came out today, issue 8, which is the first part of my a 3-part Azrael story, and I was asked to do that a little while before Arkham City. And I wrote this Azrael story, and I was like, oh, this character is really interesting. He's been brainwashed by a Catholic cult into thinking that he's an angel of vengeance,
just like you.
Just like so. Yeah, I have a Catholic background. So I did feel this sort of like, oh, there's stuff I know about, and there is I have this complicated relationship with Catholicism. I went to this very Catholic school, and I was like the like goth punk kid at this Catholic school where they would send us to like mass once a week. They'd like pull us out of a lesson. You'd be like, oh hell yeah, we don't have to do maths today, and then you go like, oh no, but we're going to mass instead. So it was it was a bit of victory, but he's this character who has this thing was done to him. It makes him kind of do crazy stuff, and he dresses up in a red hood and he runs around with a flaming sword. And I thought that was really interesting. He's not that connected to. He's got this uneasy relationship with the Bat family. We didn't want to, and when we came to this book, it was like, okay, we want someone from that sort of to represent that sort of side of Gotham, the sort of capes and masks, but anyone who is sort of closely related to Batman is going to feel they're going to feel like they're going to bring this level of like safeness to it, or safety is the actual word that human beings use. So like if we'd use sort of any of the Robins, or Robin adjacent characters, or Batman himself, whatever, then suddenly you've got this like stability that just wasn't what this book was about, and you've got this character who's there just to like sort of save the city and save the day. Azrael doesn't have that, that sort of implication to him. So he just felt like the right character. And also, when we're dealing with a load of characters who are have different mental things going on, and some of that comes about from them having been, whatever happened to them that gave them superpowers and things like this. Azrael has that same thing going on, right? He was literally brainwashed into thinking he's an avenging angel. So the line between him and the Arkhamites is a lot thinner. So after we did this after I'd written this urban legend story, and then we were talking about doing Arkham City, he was like right there. We'd just been sort of working with him, and he just seemed like the perfect fit.
So Danny, if you don't want to draw Batman, but you can draw his replacement for a good chunk of time.
Yeah, and it's so much more interesting. No, sorry.
Yeah, because you get to work with a flaming sword, right?
Yeah, no, it's. I really like drawing Azrael, and I wasn't expecting it, but no, Dan has given me a really good space, like some good splash pages, and really good pages to work on with Azrael.
We try.
And thank you. You're trying well.
We try.
Yeah. So.
Do you prefer to work in splash pages or like that typical grid? We were kind of talking about horror earlier, and in comics, I've noticed horror has a much simpler panel layout, kind of to invite newer readers. I've noticed, like you look at something as Killing the Children, Once in Future, Basilisk. The panels are very, very, they're very simple. Like not like simple, but they're not like crazy. Like no Riley Rossmo, no like Stegman and what he did in Venom. Nothing like crazy out of the panel, flowing, whatever, mumbo jumbo. But how do you prefer to work?
Well, I don't have a specific. Again, with art, I don't know. Like it's not a specific direction. I just go with whatever emotion I get with the script. So it depends. Like, sorry, I'm that bad with art questions, really. But
no, you're awesome. You're awesome.
No, it's because I can never give a good answer.
No,
but I'm working on it.
you're getting a lot of great answers. I enjoy it.
No, it's like, well, I guess I just go with the emotion. So whatever emotion I have while reading someone's script, I will try and pass the same thing. So it depends. I can't have like the same feelings every day, or like something I will read will not hit me the same way.
Right. So, no, I totally agree. You know, you kind of have to feel your way around the book, feel what your writer is doing. You know, even if he's not feeling anything at all.
He does. Well, even if he's ginger and he doesn't feel anything, he's dead inside.
Dead inside, yeah.
It's a Catholic guilt, you know.
It's a Catholic cult, yes. It's a thing. But
I love how the chat is just giving Batman characters for Dan. Like, oh, did you remember this one? Did you remember this one? I can't tell you how many.
I haven't seen that. What are they saying?
They're like saying Kite Man.
Yes, what is Kite Man? I read that. Who is this?
The Harley Quinn show. Remember?
I haven't.
You didn't watch Harley Quinn show with the Kaylee Cuoco?
That was
awesome.
No, sorry.
Who else did we see? Matches Malone.
I just found the comments. Wow. Okay.
Where did you see the comments? I want to see as well.
On the side.
Are you guys on a phone or a tablet? See, you guys now they know what you're saying, but
yeah.
Comments. I saw.
Kite Man's been around a lot recently though. He's been on TV. He was all the way through Batman during King's run. Like that's not an obscure character anymore.
King loved him.
He's a known quantity. Like everyone knows Kite Man now. He's not the underdog anymore.
Nope.
Kite Man is on top.
Hey, someone is asking about Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, that's missing. That's Stefan. I've never seen it. That's another thing is I don't watch TV that much. So whenever people tell me to watch a show, I usually get to it 1, 2, 3 years. And if you're a true friend, you'll know who I am 2 years later. That's how I kind of test it.
Well, Cowboy Bebop, I think you're coming up on 20 years. So that's
yeah, but I've only known
Stefan
for probably a few months now. So
but yeah, I'm running the Cowboy Bebop comic for Titan, which is I mean, there's not too much I can say about it. It's not out until December. Issue 1's being worked on now, but that's a really cool thing to get to do because it is something that people really love, and it is some of the best written stuff. The original show. This is we're doing the adaptation of the live action, which comes out next month. But the original show is some of the best written TV that's ever been made in any format. I was always a bit like sort of anime skeptical. It wasn't something that I massively grew up with, and then when I got introduced to that show, it sort of changed everything. So,
Danny, have you seen it?
Hmm?
Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
No.
Good, me neither.
I haven't.
What is one superhero or villain that you would love to write or draw? Danny, I'll give you more time to think about it because you said you don't like.
No, we already have one. We need to do a Zatanna at some point.
Yes, please. What's the pitch,
Come
Dan?
on.
What are we doing? What's the pitch for
Oh,
Zatanna?
we're not going to say the pitch because we want to do it. So if we say it in public, it's less likely to happen.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, we have a take that we'd really like to do at some point. Although I've written a little Zatanna now because the Justice League Dark Annual, which comes out next month. I wrote with Rom.
Yes, and Danny's like, she's like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to tell her immediately. I had to be like,
Yes,
Danny,
she
I'm
told
writing
me.
some Zatanna.
Yeah,
Sorry,
if
sorry,
looks-
Danny. Yes.
If looks could kill right now, Dan, I think Danny shot you twice.
I'll have a word with you next month up close, eh?
All right, Zatanna, that would be awesome. Please, I'm here for it.
Please. Ooh.
Anyone else? Just
Like
Zatanna.
just superhero.
Or like anything, because I know you guys said you want to do a creator-owned book earlier in the show together.
Well, more Coffin Bound, I guess. Like at some point, I would.
Revisit the book.
Yeah. I don't have another superhero. I don't know.
So we have Zatanna and more Coffin Bound.
Yeah, for me.
Please.
I guess going to the annual. Cats are misbehaving.
Yes, no, yeah. She's always throwing my my pencil, and it breaks every time. And it's like she targets this specific thing. It's Tina. Hey.
That would be awesome. I'm excited to see where you guys what else you would have to say about Coffin Bound. When would we expect to see it back? Would we get another Saga 3-year hiatus, 4-year hiatus, or you're going to try to top Brian K. Vaughan? What are we doing here?
I mean, Coffin Bound's very different from Saga in a lot of ways.
I know.
But also in the Saga is one. It is literally, it's called Saga, right? And it's one big ongoing story. Whereas Coffin Bound is far more of it's almost that anthology format, just because it's called Coffin Bound, and if we didn't deliver on that title,
right,
then we'd be kind of lying about what the book was. So every volume by necessity is about someone's approach to death and someone's attitude to death, and that as in their approach to death, both sort of philosophically and literally, right? Like as in it is on the run up to their death. And that was part of the thing that was interesting to me in the first place was doing this book. It was like, okay, if we start this book and we straight up say like, okay, this character's going to die at the end of this volume, what does that do to the kind of story we're telling?
Right.
So, which is all a long way of saying that Coffin Bound is something that we can kind of like pick up and put down whenever we kind of want, because it's always going to be like a different story, a different take on this subject.
Right.
So I guess with Coffin Bound, it's more a question of like, do we have like a story we really, really want to tell that's in this space?
Right. And how did you guys find each other for that book? Because I haven't even heard of. Well, I kind of knew vaguely who you were at the time, Dan. I'm sorry, and Danny, I didn't even know who you were at all before that book.
No one did.
How did you guys kind of find each other?
Yeah. Well, Danny doesn't remember me meeting me the first time.
Okay, sorry, but
No, it was It was at I think it was London Supercon, was it? Or...
Yes, but I don't remember anything from that convention.
That means it was a good convention.
Yeah.
That means I was drunk all the time. Yeah.
But yeah, like I saw Dani's work for the first time then, and we did have like this brief conversation about I think just about horror, and then sort of every year after that we would kind of like see each other and kind of know each other, and I would every year see Tales from the Strips, which is Dani's own comic, like her indie comic king, which is award-winning.
Oh yeah.
Hardback collected.
Such a big award in Greece.
Hardback collected with a beautifully written introduction. Thank you.
Oh, the best intro.
I read the introduction in case that doesn't.
That's why. Okay, that's why I'm bumping it up. I was like, thinking you like had Philip Kenny Johnson write it, and you're like, yeah, that's my buddy over there too.
I mean, yeah, sure. Shout out to Philip.
Yeah, he's.
I read the Last God. One shot, and that was awesome.
Philip's a good friend. He's a great friend.
But I would see Tales from the Strips, and every year it was awesome, and it would look like it was always evolving, it was always changing, like both Dani's art style and the stories she was telling. And I think like around that was kind of the point, and I think Casper gave you Limbo as well.
Yes. Yeah. In New York, he gave me Limbo, and I read it when I came back. And I remember I read it all at once, and I wasn't expecting to read it all at once. But I was like, let's see what these two are doing. And I was lying in bed, and I thought I would fall asleep instantly. And I just read it all at once, and I instantly texted both of you. I like this, bravo. Yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. And I'm glad I read it. And we did something.
I'm glad you read it too.
Because after that, it was Malta.
Yeah, no? And that's yeah. So then Malta Comic Con.
Yeah, we that was, I think, the finalizing moment of we're doing something together. Yeah. Because we got drunk together and started talking about that a lot.
Yeah. So we decided to make a book together before we actually had a premise and a pitch. We were just like, we're gonna make a book. And
we're gonna figure out what that book
was.
This is great. I feel like this isn't even my show anymore. I'm just like, there he is.
Yeah, but this is like for awesome. Me. This show is amazing, great. But no, like this way of working, I really like it, and like I prefer. It's two ways for me. I either know someone from working with them and we become friends and then I really enjoy it, or we're like super friends and then we do something together and it's great combo. Right. Like because you enter something and you know you're going to do it with your like close ones. Yes, and you will communicate either way, so it's fun.
Dan, could you write X-Men? Are you a fan of Morrison's new X-Men?
I am a fan of new X-Men. When I remember trying to read X-Men as like a teenager and it being quite hard. Like I found it quite impenetrable. And new X-Men was something which definitely changed that. It was like, oh, I can grab onto things here and it all makes sense. And there was the weird thing was Cyclops in the bug room, and that was great. That was excellent. And Frank Whiteley as well.
I picked up the full set a couple months ago for my shop. They had the whole thing for like a really, really good price. And I was like, I picked it. I haven't read it yet. It's sitting there. It's in the backlog of.
It's great.
Yeah, I count that as an omnibus, so I have like that. I just got two I'm gonna buy in the other day, so that's like 3. I've got Velvet the other day, and then I think I've acquired over the summer probably like 5 more that I haven't read. I'm like looking at it right now. So whenever I do these shows, like my backlog's just screaming at me to read. I'm like, I can't.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Stacked around me.
This is great. What are your upcoming projects? Do you guys have anything else to plug other than Arkham City or to talk about?
See, this is where this is the bit where you feel bad for the artists, because like you've locked them into one project, which is what they can only work on one thing at a time.
Not always.
Not
Not
always.
always. Quite
Not
often.
always.
Yeah. Danny's cheating on you a little bit.
Yes, sometimes.
On my end, I've got a Azrael. So Azrael, the first part of my Azrael story came out today in Batman Urban Legends. I'm really pleased with that story, so I hope you will pick that up. I've got the Just League Dark Annual out next month, which is bringing back which has Satana in it, and is bringing back Mr. E, which is really cool. And I co-plotted that with Ron V, and scripted it myself, and that was great as well, because Rom and I are very tight and stuff. I think it's the first time we've technically worked together on a project. Beyond that, Homesick Pilots issue 10, which is the end of the second arc, comes out tomorrow, and the second arc of that book has been like so much fun to write.
And are you gonna go on a hiatus with it, or are you gonna keep it coming?
We're taking a few months just to let Casper breathe and see his family and things like that, which he hasn't really had much chance to do, because he draws it, he colors it, and he does a cover for it every single month. So it's a pretty punishing schedule for him. So we're taking just until issue 10 comes out tomorrow, volume 2 comes out next month, and then I think January we're back. So we've got just December there's no Homesick Pilots content, and then January we're back with issue 11.
Okay, perfect. And Danny, what do you have going on?
Well, I can't say yet. Yes, sorry, I can't say. But I have already cheated on you this summer with James.
That's true.
Yes.
Oh yeah, with
Miracle Molly.
Miracle Molly, yes.
Really cool.
That was awesome. I loved it.
You liked it?
I loved it. I talked to you on Instagram about it. I was like, I have this theory about Miracle Molly that she will be Oracle, and I have a pretty strong feeling that she will be Oracle one of these days.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, but I know you probably would. I know only James knows, and James is not going to tell us all of his secrets. Maybe I'll hit him up and I'll be like, "Hey, man, is this right? Am I right, or am I spitting bullshit out to everyone?"
I bet everyone on Substack already knows.
Oh yeah, everyone in Substack already knows. Yeah. Yeah, screw you, Hickman.
But yeah, we've been trying to work with James together like for so long, and it never happened, and it finally did, at least.
Yeah, James is awesome. James is awesome. Met him several times. He was supposed to be on the show, but it got pushed back because of that. Because of Substack and everything going on, and the launch of the Tiny Onion.
Tiny Onion.
It's a great name. But what else do you have going on, Danny, that you're somewhat allowed to talk about?
I can't say. I'm doing all of the time. I'm doing covers. That's not new. So okay.
Right.
It's mostly boom covers, but whatever comes my way, if I can add it in my schedule, I enjoy drawing covers a lot because it's a nice break.
Right.
From a nice break from me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get to listen to other people.
You see, I cheat you any chance I have.
Any chance you get, yeah.
So you did the cover for, what was it? Many Desolate Star. I think it was the third issue, the third foil, or the second one.
For what?
For the Many Desolate Star.
Yes.
But you didn't read it yet.
No, because I can't read the issues. I'm not an issue kind of person. I don't have issues.
So you don't have any issues. You don't have any issues.
No, I don't have any issues. Although I just said that I'm reading Red Room, so okay.
Yeah,
but that's another story. But I'm always waiting for the book to come out.
Dan's the one with all the issues. Yeah.
No, I can't read digitally. I can't read issues. Yeah. That's my thing.
Yeah. I took my coworker to the comic shop for the first time, and because I gave her Something Is Killing the Children, I gave her Saga, I gave her Department of Truth and Invincible. She's read all of them. She loved it. So I told her, hey, let's go to the store. The first book she picked out was the foil you did for the Many Desolate Star. And I said, "You're not going to start with the first issue?" And she's like, "I like the cover." And I'm like, I said, "You are becoming the biggest clickbait in the comic community than just like everyone else." But I'm like, "It's a great cover. I have it too."
Oh, thanks.
So that's about her reading that book. She's like, and I'm like, "You're going to like Coffin Bound, so I'm going to have to give her that next." So
Yes, you should.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you for making this work.
Oh, thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
no, thank you for having us.
You guys are both welcome back anytime. This was great.
Yeah, it's been fun.
If you guys are coming in and you're late, I was an hour early. And I guess now you guys are an hour late. So go back, catch the rewind. If you are catch the rewind, thank you so much for being here. Remember, if you guys liked what you saw, you want more of these creator interviews, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I don't want to be like that YouTuber who says that, because if you're here, you're obviously going to like it. Just remember to do so. Other than that, I'm going to be on Lamer Frame tonight drawing other people in the comic community, which is fun. I don't draw, so yay. I think I'm just going to get creative, and do stick figures with some cool concepts, I'm going to do the classic negative space, with the white background. And then what am I doing Wednesday? Stefan and I are dropping our Justice League team video where we build a Justice League team together and then we pitch a story all from the cuff. So it's live basically, but it's going to be dropped right then and there. That's part of Whiplash Wednesday. Then Thursday, I'm going to be with Rock and Robbie Billups, who also got to talk with Dan, lucky guy. Robbie's a cool dude, so make sure you guys catch me over there. Friday, I think that's the one day I'm off. Saturday and Sunday, I'm on different shows. Saturday, I'm with Ages of Alaska over on their channel, and then we're all going to be on Spine Ticks. We're also going to be there. And then Sunday's football, so I'm off. American football.
Such a busy week, right?
It is such a busy week. It's weird because my schedule is I go to physical therapy, I go to work, I work full time, and then I actually got today off, which is weird. Like, because I had to get an MRI done. I was like, you know what? I'm having these guys on anyway, so let me schedule it then. And I couldn't have done the show without taking the day off. So I was like, it just all worked out in its favor. And then we have Baltimore Comic-Con. If you guys are going, hit me up. Oh, would I please ask the question? Picture of everything else with this thing.
Yeah. So the picture of everything else got, frankly, I don't. Sorry, I'm stuttering because I'm trying not to say other people's business, but some of the team got hit really hard by COVID, and their lives did. And so we've taken a bit of a break from that. Hopefully we'll be back as soon as we can be. But yeah, you gotta. It's a difficult time to be making monthly books, and so we got to let people take the time they need.
Thank you for addressing it in all caps, or else I would not have seen it. Thanks for yelling at me. I needed it. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Stay tuned for more Creators Corner. We're booked up until I think December, January, which is exciting. I love doing the show, you guys, and thank you so much for all the support. Take care, you guys. Go back to work because 15 people are in the chat. 15 people got to go back to work. Thank you guys so much for being here.